to the Della Fit Podcasts. 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together, we make up the digital family that is the De La Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Philly's number one son, aka the Body Alchemist, Sun Moon Bay, bringing you another podcast excursion. What's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well this beautiful Friday on March the 22nd. The second day of spring. That's right. We are officially now back in the springtime, which means rejuvenation, new life, new things being reborn. I hope you're doing well. I hope things is going well for you and your family. I know it's been a little inconsistent here at the De La Fit Podcast for a little while. I'm going to speak on that in a little while, but just so thankful to be back here and speak with all of you and have a conversation and talk about the 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health. It's been so much going on, so many things taking place, and wow, it's been a whirlwind. The last time I actually got the chance to speak with so many of you, I was telling all of you that we have a new engineer. Well, I'm going to just be straight honest with a lot of you all. I have a new engineer. I have a new assistant, and it takes money to pay them. And, in order to make sure that they get paid and that the podcast continues as it will, sometimes I have to go back and do some things, and it makes it a little bit difficult, but I want everybody to be assured that we will remain here. We will continue to go forward, and things will start to clear up as in most things in our everyday life. Life is cyclical. It goes up, it goes down, and it's just a lot when you're an entrepreneur and you're endeavoring to do positive things. So, just a little bit with that. Also, a big shout out to my assistant and heartfelt condolences to Kimberly. Kimberly is, as I said before, my assistant here on the De La Fit Podcast. She is the individual that has been, I should say, I've been so wonderfully blessed with to have respond to emails and help me with the things that is going on with the podcast. And unfortunately, she lost her father 2 weeks ago. So, much condolences to her. Please send your positive energy and sympathies to her. It's been very difficult for her, and that's something that there's nothing else to be said. There's nothing else to say. A parent's love is like no others, and all we can do is I wish you the best, Kimberly. I send you nothing but positive energy, you and your family. And I pray, and I definitely hope, and I know the Creator is keeping you in His heart and wrapping His ever-loving arms around you and your family. So again, most heartfelt condolences to Kimberly. So a little bit of a melancholy segue, but want to talk about some interesting things. Actually, I think this actually goes along with everything that I've just talked about so far. I've been watching a series on Netflix called Losers. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. I thought it was really, really interesting. I like Netflix when I have some downtime, which I have very little of with my busy schedule. I like to watch Netflix and chill, actually. And I've come along onto a show called Losers. And what they do is they highlight elite athletes from many different sports who have suffered great losses. They had Sierra Bonele, the Olympic the Olympic figure skater. and they talked about her and a lot of the things that she suffered during, I think this is during the early 2000s, maybe 90s. But for those of you that don't know, Sierra Bonalé was a tremendous athlete, a tremendous figure skater. And I want to say the late 90s, early 2000s. She's from France, but she is originally from Sierra Leone. She was adopted by two French individuals, and they raised her as their own. And she did everything from gymnastics, I think track and field. She was just an all-around athletic person. And then she got into figure skating, and she just fell in love with it. And she wanted to, in a sense, change the sport, because she was such a consummate athlete. She was such a progressive person. What she did was she started adding her own athleticism and acrobatics, or I should say gymnastics, to figure skating. And at the time, individuals, or rather the judges, who were of a very conventional, stagnant mindset of the time, in a sport that was predominantly very, very European based, they didn't see what she was doing, and they tried to pigeonhole her and in a sense ridicule her in the way of what she was able to do. She, I think, at her apex, might have only accomplished a bronze when it comes to the Olympic stage. I think her freestyle, she might have perhaps got a gold medal. I'm not exactly certain, but I was just watching. I was watching that. I was watching a few of the different episodes that they had, and the one thing that I got from all of this, because this is very long, and I encourage everybody, if you get the chance, please watch the series because it's amazing. For every athlete that went through such a loss, it was the will that they had to come back and continue. It was the will to get better. It was the will to find another way. It was the purpose and love that they had to continue their purpose. No matter what was said, no matter what was done, no matter what level of failure or obstacle was placed in front of them, I found that it was amazing, the tremendous amount of intestinal fortitude that each individual was able to amass within themselves and forge through. And in a sense, it really made me think, about the indomitable spirit of humanity. I've talked about this several times. I feel that many individuals, we're taught weakness in many different ways. Any of you who have listened to the podcast before know my belief about perfection is that we've been taught perfection is humanity without error, humanity without some type of failing, without some type of overall. Now, humans are created perfect. This is my truth, my opinion. I feel that in order to be perfect, you have to have error in order to learn. And if you're not learning, you become stagnant. If you're stagnant, you eventually die. Now, if there's no error, if there's no mistake, then what are you doing? What are you living? So that is my opinion of the old adage. What is that? The old adage of nobody's perfect. We're all perfect. And I do believe we have been taught that we've been taught to be afraid of failure instead of embracing it. If you look at really many of the most successful people on the planet, they failed a lot. If you look at Michael Jordan, if you look at Bruce Lee, if you look at Serena Williams, if you look at Venus Williams, if you look at any successful athlete, any successful business person, they have failed many, many times before they have actually been successful. I think Kevin Hart, the comedian, he actually said that for all of the fame that you see, for the 5 years, the 6 years, the 7 years of fame that you see I've had, he said there was 15 prior years where I was told no. He said, can you imagine that, being told no consistently every day? He said, and then continue to get yourself up and go. Kevin Hart is probably at this time one of the most successful comedians out there. He calls himself the comedic rock star, and he has done amazing things. He has sold out football stadiums. He has done amazing shows, and he continues to progress. And the thought of being told consistently no, 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 and in some brutal ways, in some very brutal ways, some of the ways he said that he was told no, I was like, wow. If somebody told me that, I'm like, that would be gut wrenching. It's heartbreaking. So thinking about that and understanding the spirit, the purpose, I don't want to say the passion, but for some of you that might agree with you, the passion that, that this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be successful. Man, that takes some indomitable spirit. It really does. It takes a lot of spirit. It takes a huge connection to your creator. If you believe in a higher power, because in my opinion, which I am learning more and more of, no one does it alone. No one on this planet does anything alone. And I think it's just amazing, going back to this Netflix special, listening to the stories of individuals as they progress past. Some individuals progressed in their sport. Some people actually left their sport and progressed in other areas. But it's progression nonetheless, and it's amazing, to think of some of these things that people have dealt with. When I think of some of the things I deal with, or some of the things some of my friends deal with, this is motivation for anybody. So if you get some time, please check it out. The show is called Losers on Netflix, and it's amazing. Definitely do that. We've got a great show for you today. I'm going to get into our guests in just a few short minutes, but I'm going to let everybody know that, again, we will be back on a consistent schedule. This month has been, again, very up and down, extremely up and down, with so many different situations. But we will be back on a consistent schedule, effectively in April. Like I said before, we have a new engineer. I have a personal assistant. We are now on iHeartMedia Radio. Sorry, I just bumped the microphone. I know some of you out there are listening like, ooh, what's going on there, son? But it's been so many things. I will say I have the blessing of doing a lot of positive things this year. I'm going to be doing a presentation for some teens on nutritional health and value, almost on an emotional awareness level. So basically, for some of you all that listen to me out there, that I do mentoring and literacy-based programs working with children and teens, as well as I'm a physical trainer. Well, my supervisor came to me and was like, listen, we're putting together a training for the summer, whereas we're working with teens, dealing with this an organization called PYN, and I think that's a Philly Youth Network. So, what Philly Youth Network does is they they give opportunities to young teenagers to work through the summer and learn skills that can help them basically throughout the rest of their lives. So part of what they do is they do a college, I think it's some of the presenters do like a college prep section of it to help some of the seniors get ready to prepare for college. And my supervisor was like, listen, why don't you do a presentation on nutrition? Because this is something that can help many teens, especially the ones who are just about to graduate, as well as some of the teens who are in high school. And I was all in 100%, because to me, this is a purpose of mine. Learning how to help your body is something that is so well needed. It's so important for many of us. Learning what to eat, what not to eat. When I think about how things are marketed to our children, to us in general, when I look at how all of the junk food and things that quote unquote, I'm throwing up air quotes as if you can see, but all of the things that are marketed to individuals that are supposed to be good for you. And then you read all of these ingredients, you're like, how can this be good for you? It's a shame. And our children, they are very susceptible, and they can become victims to this. One thing I've noticed working in Philadelphia, dealing with youth and teens, is that I hear this consistently from many of the teens and children that school lunches are horrible. They are abysmal. They're like, I've heard horror stories of children saying they've eaten food and gotten sick, and I mean literally sick multiple times. There's been E. coli found in some, not all schools, but the little things like that, or just food not being prepared correctly. Now, I'm quite sure that the school board of Philadelphia does their utmost to try to make sure that the best possible lunches and breakfasts can be served to the children. But it's difficult. It's so difficult. And they definitely, I know they're doing their best, but it's very difficult out there. And, I recently had a training, I think it was youth mental health. They were talking about a lot of let me backtrack. Youth mental health training, basically mental first aid health training, basically is something I had, and it helps to kind of peep certain types of behavior a child or teen might be displaying, whereas they might be having, like, say, a mental meltdown or going through certain things mentally. It kind of helps you to evaluate and take them through steps that might help them kind of deal with it at the moment until they can be a professional can help them. So part of this training is very useful. I encourage anybody who works with the youth to take this training and get the certification. They have some great, some wonderful educators who teach it. But one of the things that they were talking about is the fact of the high rate of what is that called? The high rate of being diagnosed with certain types of mental disabilities and such as ADHD and other things because of how a child acts, when a lot of the things that are going on is the fact of a child has, most of the children, at least in the urban cities like Philadelphia, are not eating properly. They're not getting a balanced diet. If they're not eating a balanced diet, they're not eating at all within the cities or within the school. When I say that, meaning like they're not eating the school lunches. They're not eating, they might not get a breakfast. If they're going home and, their parent, might live in a latchkey home, they might not get to eat a home cooked meal. So, as a child or a young teen, you got to do what you got to do. So a large percentage of the food that they're ingesting might come from their local corner store. So with that being said, what does your local corner store have? If you're in an urban city like Philadelphia or urban places like New York City, you might be redlining is a huge issue, or food deserts are a huge issue. Whereas, not being able to get the proper food, good food to eat. And many of the children, if they're not eating the lunches at school or eating breakfast, at home or things like that, they're going to the corner store, and what are they buying? They're buying chips. They're buying overly processed foods with high sugar and many other things that are just not good. So with that being said, it makes it extremely difficult, to work with children. One, if they are not being fed a balanced diet. Think of it when you're hangry. If you're hungry and you have, if you were working a 8-hour day and you didn't get any food, and then somebody's telling you what to do and things like that, and then you're eating nothing but high processed food, think of how you would act. Well, this is the same way with the children. So unfortunately, a large percentage of the children have been misdiagnosed with certain things like ADHD and many other mental, I don't want to say elements, but mental disabilities or not phobias. I'm getting tongue tied, but I hope you all understand. But the thing of it is that unfortunately, it's not necessarily that cut and dry. And this is something that, it's very disturbing to me, and one reason I was so grateful to my supervisor that she was allowing me the chance to actually do these presentations. So I'm preparing this presentation and getting it ready so that, I can help, maybe in a sense, build something to help the children and teens, or the teens that I'm going to be presenting to and working with. I kind of develop principles, food principles or nutritional principles for themselves, which is basically, one, how understanding what's healthy. What does my body need? Finding, understand that first. 2, understand how you're eating and why, which you deal emotionally. And then 3, being frugal, how to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to eating, and so much more. So this is something I'm very excited about. I'm still flushing it out and gonna make it the best possible. But this is something that I'm definitely working with, and I'm excited about presenting for this summer with the group of individuals, teens that I'll be working with. So it's just that and so many other things that are taking place at this time that I'm just excited about, as well as the podcast. Like I've said before, we're going to be dealing with iHeartMedia Radio. The website is going to be overhauled again, and it's just so much going on. But I just want to thank everybody who has continued to be solid, consistent listeners, and let you all know that, hey, we're still here. We're still going to be podcasting, and it's going to get better, and it's all thanks to you. Upcoming guest today, Miss Kristen Harper. Kristen Harper is going to be discussing with us and educating us on adrenal exhaustion. Are you out there? Do you all know what adrenal exhaustion is? Well, Miss Harper is going to be discussing that, talking about what adrenal exhaustion or fatigue is, how to diagnose it, and what can be done if you suffer from it. How you can get your body back to its original state. So stay tuned. You are with the De La Fit Podcast.
De La Fit Podcast is now available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Music.
you, with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Fit Podcast. As always, I have an amazing guest with me. I have with me Miss Kristen Harper. Now, Kristen owns a business that is called Perfect Health Consulting Services. And I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about what it is that they do. All right. But this conversation is actually about adrenal, or I should say a subject about something that I knew very little about. And I'm so glad that I was able to actually finally get in contact with Ms. Harper, because the subject is about adrenal exhaustion or fatigue. Now, I did some research on this, but I thought the best thing possible was to contact somebody who had a more in-depth knowledge than myself. So, Ms. Harper, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Hi there.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. What about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it's mild weather right now. We've been getting barraged by storm after storm, but hey, it's still February.
Oh, yeah, I can understand. And here in Arizona, it's quite cloudy today.
Oh, man. And Arizona is beautiful. I've been there. It's a beautiful place.
Yes, I've lived here most of my life, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else, to be honest with you.
Oh, man. Are you close to Phoenix, or are you what area are you in?
Yes, I'm actually in Tempe, Arizona.
Oh, man, you are so lucky. Oh, my goodness. We're not even going to talk about that. I went to Phoenix, and I've been into Tucson, and I actually had a chance to go to the Grand Canyon and stay up on the cabins that they have up there, and it was one of the best moments of my life, and it almost got me to leave the East Coast. I'm an East Coast born and bred young man, and I'm going to tell you, you almost had me out there. All Arizona almost stole me away.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. I love it so much.
All right, so let's get into this. So, Kristen, you don't mind me calling you Kristen, do you?
That's perfect.
All right, so Kristen, let's get into this now. You run a business called Perfect Health Consulting Services, all right, and you deal with adrenal exhaustion or adrenal fatigue. So let's start from the beginning, because I know you have a more personal, experience with this. Is it? Well, first, explain it. Is it a disease? Is it what is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so adrenal fatigue, it's very common, and the reason I'm passionate about it is because I had this for most of my life, all the way back to my childhood, and I had this unrelenting fatigue, and I had other symptoms, and I tried all these different modalities and had tests done, and I wasn't receiving answers at all, and I had no energy. I remember times like even after going to class, as soon as I finished class, I just wanted to go home and take a nap. I was so exhausted. And so my background's in hair mineral analysis, which tests for minerals and toxic metals. And, other tests are wonderful. However, I love hair analysis because there's cells within your hair, and cells are the major sign of metabolic activity. It's not the blood or the urine. So, and it reveals a lot of information about body chemistry, including stress, energy, nervous system, balance, adrenal and thyroid activity at a cellular level, frustration, resentment, hostility, even trauma, mineral patterns, and carbohydrate metabolism, protein synthesis, the list goes on and on. And so based on hair mineral analysis research, the majority of the population are slow oxidizers. This is a slow metabolism, which is associated with weak adrenal and thyroid activity at a cellular level. So I received my first hair analysis back in 2001, and it revealed that I had a weak adrenal activity at a cellular level. And there's actual patterns associated with weak adrenal activity at a cellular level, including a low sodium level, low potassium level, low sodium potassium ratio, a low sodium magnesium ratio, and others. And so basically your adrenal glands, they sit at the top of your kidneys, they produce hormones, and when a person is under stress, there is a reduced secretion of hormones. And so some of the symptoms associated with adrenal fatigue would be, I told you about the fatigue, so I had relenting fatigue. That's a common symptom. And then others would be the person has allergies or even depression, joint aches and pains, muscle weakness, low stamina, tendency to constipation, abnormal body temperature, and more. There's many symptoms.
So, how? I know you said you were. I think you said when you were going from class, but we've talked before this, and if I understand correctly, you said you were experiencing this from the time you were a child. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. So, and tell us a little bit, like, what age did you definitely notice something was different or off in your body?
Yeah, I would say this was in elementary school. I was just exhausted. I had that unrelenting fatigue. I felt real shaky before meals. Just felt shaky. I remember even times, I believe this was even in high school, just times where like black out for a second, and
Wow.
just very dizzy and I did when I was younger. I saw a doctor, and he basically told me at the time that I had hypoglycemia, and I even followed a recommended diet by soon, and I just tried so many different protocols out there over the years, different supplements, and I had different tests done, and I just wasn't receiving answers, and I knew that something was missing. I knew that there was an imbalance,
Right.
and nothing was helping, and I wasn't getting answers until I received this hair analysis. I was so impressed that I finally received an answer after all these years of struggling with my health, and I truly believe that I have this imbalance. I do believe that it was congenital, but I had it at birth is what I believe.
Okay. So, all right, let's take us through for the listeners out there. Let's go through a time period, because you're dealing with, childhood to high school.
Yeah, so this was actually after I graduated high school. This was even later because high school I graduated in 1997.
Okay.
This was actually later. Yeah.
Okay. So what was taking place and to get you to the point where you had the hair analysis? Like, how did you find the individual or the place that you found the hair analysis? You know, what took place that kind of got you to there?
Yeah, so what I did is I spent years doing research on the internet.
Okay.
And I came across this one article on adrenal fatigue, and it talked about what it is and all the symptoms associated with it. And the individual who wrote the article was Dr. Lawrence Wilson, and he's been reviewing hair tests for decades.
Okay.
And the article totally made sense to me. I was like, this is it. And so I called him up on the phone, and I told him my symptoms, and I've been struggling with fatigue all these years. And within 5 or 10 seconds on the phone, he told me, Kristen, you have adrenal fatigue. I was so blown away that this man knew right away in just 10 seconds. And I've been searching most of my life, and most practitioners, but professionals had no idea what was wrong with me, and he knew right away. And then sure enough, he was right, because as soon as I got that hair analysis, it revealed that I had weak adrenal activity at a cellular level.
So, Kristen, why after all of these professionals, what were they doing that was wrong compared to with this doctor that was doing right? What is it that they did? Was it that they didn't have the proper training? They didn't have what was it?
That's a good question. I would say that I feel that there's even some health professionals out there that just don't have a lot of education when it comes to adrenal fatigue.
Okay.
And also, I mean, I like all tests. I would say most tests are great.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel that there's just a lot of professionals and even doctors that are not utilizing hair mineral analysis in their practice. And I just feel it's so beneficial because it reveals so much information about your body chemistry, including the activity of the adrenals at a cellular level.
Now, is there a specific reason why they don't make use of it? Because it seems like if this is able to give you a more in-depth look at what's going on in the human body, because I've done a little research, and I think even in talking to you and some others, they're saying that it can tell you what's going on, kind of, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It's kind of almost like a peek into what's going to take place into the future, whereas the blood might not always see it. Is this correct?
Yeah, exactly. So they're basically called trends. It reveals a lot of trends. So basically these node patterns will reveal that if you continue down the same path that you're on, in the future you could end up with these health conditions. Absolutely.
Okay.
You're correct. Very good.
So why do you think is that they're not making more use of the technology or of the information, the resource that's available?
Because in medical schools, it's not being taught at all.
Wow. That's wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So let's step back a little bit from that. All right. So once you got your hair analysis test done, all right, what did you begin to do after that? Because now that you know what the exact problem is, how were you able to resolve it? Or was it able to be resolved? What took place?
Yes, I was able to get well. And so what I did was, based off the hair analysis, what's important is you need to balance your mineral levels. Your mineral levels need to be balanced as well as your mineral ratios. And so there's different components of the program, including a healthy diet. So I would eat really healthy, a lot of organic cooked vegetables, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Most of the diet consists of organic cooked vegetables, staying away from wheat, sugar, fruit, and other foods that are not ideal for health, and animal protein is important, especially for those that have adrenal fatigue. And then, a healthy lifestyle, reducing stress is very important because stress relates to adrenal glands. So reducing stress, doing meditation, going to bed before 9 o'clock at night, getting some sunshine in moderation, and taking nutritional supplements to balance the mineral ratios on a hair analysis. And what was important for me as well, and I did detoxification, but I would say what's important for me as well is adrenal glandular, and I took that, and that helped as well. To rebuild my adrenal gland. So there's just different components of the program, but it's really about living a healthy lifestyle and eating healthy.
Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about what your diet was like at a younger age. All right. And then we're going to go a little bit further because you said some things about diet and lifestyle. All right. Because I like being a professional and things like that, it can be very hard to get in bed at 9. For me, it's darn near impossible. just doing like with the podcast and training and other types of things. So, just some advice that you might have to give to other individuals out there who are working and things like that, different intensive jobs. But I want to go back. What was your diet like as a younger person?
I'm just really impressed because you're asking amazing questions. Basically, my diet was horrendous as a child. That's what I can remember. I just remember I would eat, I would get hot dogs at like a gas station. They had specials there. I don't remember what the specials were, like 99 cents or something. I remember eating hot dogs. I would eat pizza, drink soda. I remember, I just never really had a good diet at all. And then I remember even like in my earlier years of high school, I just eat a lot of fast food, but in childhood, I just don't remember eating healthy at all most of the time.
What about your family's diet? Like what would a typical family dinner be like?
Right. And, there could have been times that maybe we had a healthy meal, but I just remember, just looking back, I just remember not eating healthy.
Okay.
I would say not all the time, but I would say the majority of the time I just really remember eating a lot of unhealthy foods, and I remember eating pizza a lot.
Okay.
Pizza.
Right. Which is I know as a teenager, I think it's like our teenage go-to food for for everything. I can remember it was that for me. It's got tomatoes, it's got this on it. It's great. So it's not the best food period for us as growing up.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think just people today, people just have really hectic lifestyles, and they just don't have time to prepare healthy meals. So they're just, ordering pizza, having it delivered, and just a quick meal,
Right. Now, can I ask you a question as far as stress? Now, as a young person, like I say, a child, typically, so they're doing more, I should say, more tests and more statistical data is coming out about stress affecting children at a younger age. But I guess we'll go to teenager. So as a teenager, I know how it was growing up. It was very stressful. Your peers, they can sometimes be very cruel, and, it can be very harsh. How was high school for you?
I would say high school for me, I actually loved it until my senior year of high school. So like the first 2 years, I really enjoyed it. I was very social. I had a lot of friends.
Okay.
I was very ambitious, had excellent grades, high academic achievement. I even ended up with a full-ride scholarship for college, and I was in leadership roles as well, the honor society, also the drum major for the marching band.
Okay.
But it was basically my senior year that just fell apart.
Right.
That's when my eating disorder started.
Wow. Yeah.
And I had that for 9 years.
I think they call it senioritis. Am I correct? If I remember correctly, senioritis is, and I'm working with the youth now, and I have 3 teens who are dealing with senioritis, and it is a hell of a stressful time going through that. I know how it was when I was going through it, and I was homeschooled, but I'm just dealing with the fact of the testing. Went through a lot of testing, and so I can understand that can be a hell of amount of stress. And also, and you can give me your opinion on this, I feel that we take a lot of things from our high school into our future. I don't know about you, but I know a tremendous amount of my friends and associates, when we graduated, whether it's homeschool or not, I feel that a lot of us, maybe not as much as homeschool, but a lot of my friends who went to high school, they took a lot of things with them from high school into the rest of their adult years, into their college. How they interacted with individuals, and those type of things. I know after high school, college for me was like greatly different. Not academically, but just the fact of, well, no, I will say somewhat academically as well. The expectations changed and things like that. So do you agree that can also lead into the stress, which is health-wise, can really wear on your body?
Yeah, stress totally interferes with health. Will bring down your health, and your mental health things can be carried over. And I actually think that some of what's happened to you in childhood even carries with you, even like programming, where it carries with you. And so later on in life, there's individuals. I'm not saying everyone, but some individuals where maybe they had something happen to them in childhood, an experience or whatever,
right?
And they end up with a limiting belief, and they carry it with them. And limiting beliefs affect every aspect of your life, including your health. But I would say that the majority of illness is actually due to stress, and I believe it was WebMD. They had a percentage that was really high, but the majority of doctor visits is due to stress.
Right.
And so, I would say this would be amazing, actually amazing for everyone, but even, teenagers that are going through a lot of stress, I recommend meditation for reducing stress because it's non-denominational and there's many benefits. It will reduce stress and so much more. There's boost your immune system and enhance your digestion, and will really it keeps you like in a parasympathetic state, because there's basically 2 branches of the nervous system. We have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, and meditation keeps you more in a parasympathetic state, which is associated with rest and healing. And so, will assist with letting go of addiction and cravings, and there's so many benefits. So that's what I recommend for everyone.
So, Kristen, let me ask you this question. After you got your hair analysis done, you're now your health is improving. So, what was the next step? I know you started. Did you just start your company, or what brought out the passion? What made you say, listen, this is what I want to put, or rather, I won't say passion because I learned something new about the word passion. What made this your purpose in life? Or is it just your sole purpose?
This is my purpose. So I went through a lot of struggles in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I had health problems when I was young, and I told you about the adrenal fatigue and being exhausted and having an eating disorder for 9 years. I've gone through a lot of struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just got really passionate, really excited about hair analysis because it revealed so much about my health. And I discovered that back in 2001. And then ever since 2001, I just continued to receive my hair test every 3 to 4 months. And I just absolutely love this test. I love living a healthy lifestyle. And I finally decided in 2009, I am going to start my business to offer hair analysis to individuals worldwide to get healthy, to increase energy levels. And now I would say I'm building on hair analysis. Now, what I mean by that is I believe, everyone should be educating themselves all the time, always learning something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I believe in and what I do is I actually read every day, keep reading. I have all these books, just keep reading every day. Like, at least an hour is ideal. And so basically, my goal is this year, and I bought the technology and I'm going through training, is I'm adding quantum biofeedback. This is in addition to the hair analysis. And what it is it's technology that reveals so much about a person's health. So let's say they're not getting answers at a doctor's office,
mm-hmm.
and or maybe the lab test is not revealing much. Quantum biofeedback goes along so nicely with the hair analysis, and I can actually work with clients remotely as well. So basically, it reveals so much about your health, including, it's just really detailed information, even about your chakras, your aura, and there's just basically that's just, I'm going through training with that right now, and then also I bought technology and going through training. I'm actually going to California here soon, like in a week, to get training on this technology. But basically, it's downskilling, it's brainwave entrainment. And I received an answer from the universe that told me that downskilling is the best for those that have been through emotional trauma, because what it does, I discovered this through this research, but also through this time that I received from the universe. And what happens is, someone that's been through an emotional trauma,
mm-hmm.
that gets stored in the unconscious mind. So we have two minds. We have the conscious mind, the unconscious mind. When someone's been through emotional trauma, that memory, like any limiting beliefs are stored in the unconscious mind. And what that means is that people are not usually aware that they're stored there. They're not aware of these limiting beliefs most of the time, or the memory. And so what happens with the sound healing, the brainwave entrainment, it brings the limiting beliefs or the memory from the unconscious mind, brings up conscious awareness, and then eventually from conscious awareness, it's completely released.
So, all right, I'm going to ask you this because you brought up some things that make me have more questions, all right? But my first question is, what would be a limiting belief? If you explain that to you, what is that?
Yes, and before I answer that question, I want to go back to the purpose that you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So basically, everyone has a purpose.
Right.
And if you don't know what your life's purpose is, you need to find it as soon as possible. You need to figure it out.
Totally.
And how you do that is, exactly. Because once you're on that path of your life's purpose, I do believe once you get your inside right, then all of a sudden the law of attraction works. You're supposed to be on that path for your life's purpose.
Right.
And so I was doing meditation. I was maybe a year, 2 years ago, doing meditation. And it was revealed to me during meditation that I needed to become a naturopathic medical doctor.
Okay.
So that's my life's purpose. That's the path that I'm pursuing. And so I believe all these events when I was younger, there was a reason I had to go through all that. The health problem.
Right.
And the addiction, I think, was to lead me on the path of my life's purpose.
Right.
And so in terms of limiting beliefs, I really feel I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to limiting beliefs, the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. just because I've had limiting beliefs in the past, and it really affected my health in a negative way in every aspect of my life. So, one limiting belief that I believe was the cause of my eating disorder that I had for 9 years. I am fat. I am fat, and I didn't realize I had this limiting belief because that's an unconscious mind. You're not aware of it most of the time. So that I am fat, and how I figured this out was I was doing meditation, and it came up during my meditation because meditation is like the sailing plane, does the same thing. It brings the limiting belief from unconscious mind, brings it up to conscious awareness, and that's when I became aware of it during meditation. It came up, conscious awareness. And so during my meditation, this thought came up, this limiting belief, I am fat. And then in the past, I was talking to someone, and this was a while back, and this person said, I believe you have this limiting belief that is, I am not good at. And it was based on like a long conversation, and this person actually felt that I had that. So I think, and I don't know exactly when that occurred, but I'm thinking maybe I had it even when I was young, maybe even in childhood, that caused problems later on. And when you have limiting beliefs like that, that can affect your health, it can affect your financial success, every aspect of your life.
Right. Man.
So I believe that the best way to get rid of these limiting beliefs would be the meditation, and also the brainwave and treatment, the counseling.
I just want to take this time out to say to you, Kristen, that one, I'm so glad you're on the show. And the fact that you're saying what you're saying, it strikes a chord, because just like you're saying, when the purpose, when you find your purpose, you're going in the right track, like things line up. And I definitely just want to thank you, because people like yourself, individuals like yourself who find their purpose, especially for what you're doing, all right, it helps other people, and it helps them quicker to find their purpose. I've been very blessed after doing this podcast to have the pleasure of talking to many different people, and I'm always constantly learning. So I definitely want to thank you for what it is that you're doing and the information that you are bringing to the forefront to others, because I think it is dynamic and progressive, and it deals with something that I think I'm being awakened to more so, which is mindfulness. Last year for the show, the key word for not only myself but the podcast was progression. And this year, 2019, the key words are mindfulness and progression. And they keep coming up in one way or another. And I have to tell each guest every time that I feel they touch on it, because for me, it's like seeing a marker in the middle of a road saying you're going the right way. So I have to acknowledge that and say to you and give you so much thanks because of what you're doing and how it helps people. I also want to ask you, at the hair analysis now, is this for everybody? Is there an age limit? Who can it help? Who can it help? Is it only specific individuals? Give us some more information about that if you can.
Yes. So I would say it's, for the majority of individuals, it's just that even young children, that basically I need hair from the head.
Okay.
So let's say you have like a little infant that maybe doesn't have hair yet. We'll have to wait until they have some head hair, but that's the main point that I wanted to bring to your attention. But I would say all ages, all age, children, infants, amazing.
All right. Is it men, women? I mean, well, I already know women, but I mean, can it be used for men as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome.
And like I said, other tests are great, but this is absolutely my favorite and will always be my favorite.
Yeah, because in what you're saying, to me, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like a diagnostic, a diagnostic of what's going on in your body, like what you do with a car. It's like, now, I mean, this is funny coming from the guy that doesn't own one, right? I'm out here in the East Coast, so we take trains and buses, but it sounds like, what you plug into your car and it gives you the reading of what's going on, and that's how it kind of sounds, whereas blood tests and things are good, but this seems like it gives you like, hey, check this out prior, like the warning light.
Yeah, I would just say it's more of a screening tool.
Okay.
I wouldn't consider it. Yeah, so I consider it more of a screening tool, but it just reveals a lot of information about your health. We talked about the trends earlier, which is important. And a lot of times, too, with the blood test, they tend to show balance, even if there's an imbalance going on in your hair. So, and I'll just give you one example. Is let's say someone has a magnesium deficiency. Sure, the body chemistry is going to move the magnesium out of the tissue, such as the hair, and it's going to move it into the blood to maintain the blood because the blood is so vitally important.
Right.
So that magnesium deficiency will show up in the hair. But everything will be balanced in the blood. Does that make sense? It's like hair analysis is an early indicator.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. Wow, that's awesome. that's really awesome right there. And you got me thinking about a lot of things right there. Kristen, do me a favor. Can you give us, for the listeners out there, let us know where people can reach you? What's your email? I know you also have a radio show where you talk more about health and adrenal fatigue as well. Please, let the people know where they can find out more about you, as well as to find out about your business and what it is that you are doing. And if they want to call and get a consultation or a hair analysis, how can they do this?
Okay, so basically I have a couple of websites. So the first is perfecthealthconsultingservices.com. I do offer my hair analysis packages there. And I just wanted to mention too, with the hair analysis, I have a couple of hair analysis certifications that I had the opportunity, which I'm always be grateful for the rest of my life. I was able to train with the hair analysis gurus that have been studying this for decades. Okay, so I got to study with quite a few of them. So I'm grateful for that. And also my other website is KristenHarperSeeks.com, or KRISTEN HarperSeeks.com. I'm a health and wellness speaker. And also with the other website that I mentioned earlier, the perfecthealthconsultingservices.com, I also do consulting as well. So, one example would be, females that are struggling with binge eating disorders. I do consult, individuals or females that have eating disorders, binge eating issues. And I'm actually coming out with a book. I'm working with a publisher right now, and this book will be launched this year in 2019 to help females with binge eating. And then also my radio show, you can find it at voiceamerica.com, which is the largest live internet radio network in the world. And I'm on the Health and Wellness channel. My show is every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And my show is called Tips to Keep You Healthy, Happy, and Motivated. And I just basically, on my show, talk about various health and wellness topics. And I wanted to mention real quick, too, is I would say most people know this imbalance, they call it adrenal fatigue, However, the correct terminology is actually HPA, access dysfunction,
Right.
or dysregulation. But I appreciate the opportunity today because I just feel that this information needs to get out to the world because it's so common, this imbalance today, this health imbalance, so common. And I just feel that, there's just people that just have no idea about this health issue. And I also just want to say I really enjoyed talking to you. You just asked the most amazing questions. I can just tell you spend a lot of time doing research too before your show on your deck.
Well, I appreciate you again and what it is that you do. Like I said, I feel it's a blessing anytime I find a person that is has found their purpose. And again, I've been taught now not to say passion. I was always against the word, and then a friend of mine was like, "No, say it's your passion." And somebody explained that they're like, passion fades, but purpose, you will go through hell and high water to achieve your purpose when you realize that's what your purpose is, or what your purpose is. You will weather the storm. So that's why I don't say passion, but I am so grateful to you to have had this chance to talk with you and to learn from you, and not only to learn from you, but now it gives me another resource to check my health, and for others out there listening to check their health. And I encourage you to use every advantage that you can to keep yourself mentally, or I should say spiritually, mentally, physically fit. That is the whole purpose of life, in my opinion. We walk through it so much, with this thing of, being fit is just what we're eating, just what we're lifting, or what have you, and not taking it in as a whole. And I believe once we figure out that fitness is life, then we will have a happier life. So I'm so happy and I'm so thankful that we have individuals like you, because you help with that, from what you're doing. So kudos to you, and thank you so much for your time and your energy.
So, and I love talking to you, and I appreciate the opportunity. And earlier when I was talking about the healthy lifestyle, there was one thing I forgot to mention that it's important too. But my approach is more gentle exercise. I believe in doing gentle exercise. Mm-hmm. But I feel that there's so many people today that are so sedentary. They're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Our bodies are meant to move, and so what I do is I go for walks every night. Mm-hmm. And there's so many benefits, and people need to do their exercise, and so that's what I do. And I love walking because it helps with the lymphatic system, because if you're just sedentary, your lymphatic system is going to be congested. So,
that's true.
And then also it's a form of meditation. We brought up the mindfulness. Yep. So you're outside, and that's another thing reducing stress. I talked about the teenagers. Meditation is great, but going outside into nature. Children and teenagers, get outside, because that will reduce stress. So it's a form of meditation, being outside and going for walks. And then also it improves vision, going for walks, because our eyes are meant to look out into the distance most of the time, not doing close-up, but improves vision as well.
That means the cell phones. If you weren't going to say it, I'll say it for you. That means put down the cell phones. Look and gaze out into the world.
Yes, exactly. And it's so true. It's like, and I'm so glad you brought up the mindfulness, and and with us, we need to reduce our EMS as well. So that's important. But it's like, when you were bringing up the mindfulness earlier, mm-hmm. and so mindfulness is really being in the present moment, right? And yep. So let's say someone's eating. Instead of, kind of multitasking where they're eating, but then they're, on their cell phone or looking at their cell phone or playing games on their cell phone, that's not really mindfulness. Mindfulness is really being in the present moment and, eating slow and really paying attention, like even to the taste of your food and being in the moment. instead of having these like distractions.
That's true.
And so
that's totally true. And even what you're talking about with gentle exercise, I have found out that in my training, because I'm a physical trainer, and I have found out that we have a lot of imbalance, and we're taught. Excuse me. Let me restate that. We're taught a lot of imbalances, a lot of dysfunctions. Human beings are balanced, and we're naturally balanced. There's a hard, there's a soft, there's a duality to us, and we need that hard as well as that soft. But typically, and this is funny because I went to my acupuncturist yesterday, and I like spicy foods, and she said, "Too much yang." Too much yang. You've got a lot of yang going on inside of you right now. She said, tone down the spicy foods, but, you're right. We have a go, 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 rev, rev, rev mentality. And typically I talk to individuals, and one thing I find is like in the East Coast primarily, maybe not so much in the West Coast, but there's the, once around this time, New Year's hits, everybody's got to get fit because everybody's going to go to the beach. So everybody's hitting it so hard and so, so tough, and I've got to get aesthetically pleasing. And that is a dysfunction. It's a dysfunction, and it can lead to what you're saying, and what you're talking about, because if you don't have the proper mindset, which is, it's not a race, it's a marathon. You're going to push yourself way past what you need to do. I see many individuals in the gym pushing themselves. I'm like, wait, whoa, what are you going to do tomorrow? I'm going to come in and I'm going to do 28 reps with 1,000 sets and 1,000 pounds. I'm like, that sounds great if you were perhaps Captain America and, something like that. But you need to take that time and just simple steps. It's hard and soft. It's like my old martial arts instructor used to tell me, is go and ju, which means it's basically hard and soft. Keeping that balance, keeping that maintained, which is a part of fitness, and we need that in everything we do. And I can go on and talk about it forever, but I'm not going to do that because I know you have a lot to do. All right, and you're doing great work, and I just wanted to tell you again, thank you so much for coming on to the show, and we really appreciate you.
And I enjoyed it very much, and I just want to say one more thing.
Sure, no, go ahead.
She's going on again.
No, please go.
I agree with you. There's yin and yang. I agree. There's the duality, right? Mm-hmm. The reason I'm pushing it, you're the expert with fitness, and that's probably your purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason I say that, everyone has their own approach too when it comes to, especially the professionals. The reason I say the more gentle as far as the people I work with is because, like vigorous exercise can actually weaken the adrenal glands.
Right.
And there's a lot of individuals that have adrenal weakness today. But anyways, I love conversing with you. I think you're amazing. Great personality, great questions. So.
Thank you so much. And I think the same way. And we're going to try to get the schedules together so that you can come back on the show. All right. And we can talk more about this topic and more, because I know we were talking about the youth as well. So we're going to end it right here. But I just want to say
You're going to hate me again, but I'm going to continue one more time. Probably this is my last time. I promise.
Go ahead, it's fine. I'm about to let you take us out of here. You're going to sign us out.
Okay. So, and I wanted to bring this up because I think it's important for individuals to know too. We didn't really touch on it, but causes of adrenal fatigue. It can be present at birth. I talked about congenital weakness earlier. Also stress. can weaken the adrenal glands. Stimulants are not good, including caffeine, because they can whip up the adrenal glands, but eventually they will weaken the adrenals. And also nutritional imbalances, including improper diet, poor food quality, digestive problems, foods that are low in vital minerals, and toxic metals, toxic chemicals. Most people are toxic today. Mental attitude would be another one, such as resentment. So there's others, of course, that I just thought I'd touch on those, but we are signing out right now.
So, oh no, wait, you don't get off that easy. This is what we're going to do. Kristen, this is what you're going to do. I would like it if you could tell everybody what podcast they're listening to.
He Loves It podcast, which is an amazing podcast, and you definitely need to listen to it. Amazing.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I appreciate you greatly. You all, you know where you're at. You're home with the De La Fit podcast. We'll be back.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit podcast.
So I'd just like to thank Ms. Harper for coming onto the podcast and sharing her story and her information with us. Quick correction, I originally said that Ms. Harper had her first hair test analysis in 2000. That is incorrect. She had her first hair test analysis in 2001. That is when she was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. Thank you so much, Kristen, for coming on to the De La Fit podcast. We thank you for sharing your story, your journey, as well as helping to educate us on what adrenal fatigue is and some of the symptoms and how one can be diagnosed. I know now I'm going to be definitely telling friends, family members the benefits of a hair test analysis and where they can go to get a hair test analysis. You know, it's so important that when it comes to our bodies, we do the best we can to make sure what's going on within ourselves. And, to have the best quality of life possible, we need to make ourselves aware and educate ourselves about our own bodies. And this is why we have awesome guests like Kristen on the De La Fit podcast to help to continue the mantra of 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health. So thank you so much, Kristen. I encourage everybody to check out Perfect Health Consultation Services, which is Kristen's business, as well as to contact and reach out to her. The information, that she left within the interview, her email, and things of that nature. Please, definitely, if you think you might suffer from what is adrenal fatigue, I would encourage everybody to definitely get a hair test analysis and make use of Miss Harper's knowledge and her passion and her purpose. So again, that is Perfect Health Consulting Services. You can definitely find them online at perfecthealthconsultingservices.com to get a hair test analysis done if you think you are suffering with adrenal fatigue. Once again, it has been a great pleasure to sit down and talk with many of you out there, to talk with Ms. Harper. I hope that everybody continues the journey, continues the mantra of each one teach one, of the village. For those that are just tuning in to the De La Fit podcast, we always consistently talk about the village. The village, as it is always mentioned, is it takes a village to raise a child. Well, each one of us is somebody's child, and we should all be trying to help continue to raise ourselves to be the best we can. And we do that by teaching each other, so that each one teach one and remembering the village. As always, thank you so much for joining us here at the De La Fit podcast. If you have any questions, if you have any topics you would like us to consider or to bring up. If you have any guests that you are interested in hearing be on the podcast, we encourage you all to email us at daylafit13@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is www.daylafitpodcast.com, and contact us there. As always, I am Philly's #1 son, aka the Body Alchemist, Sun Moon Bay. Thank you for joining us, and peace and love.
You've been listening to the DelaFit podcast. Ta-ta for now.